Hello and welcome to the Overton Audios podcast. My name's Connor Chadwick.
And I'm Daniel Patton. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Eamon Longman.
And on today's podcast, I will be talking to Daniel J. Patton as a guest this time about the first volume of the new Irish Doctor Adventures volume we're doing called Dark Universe 1. Now, Eamon, how are you?
I'm good, Connor. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. Obviously, for anyone who hasn't listened to the last podcast or just needs reminding, today I flew back from Dan and Aine's wedding, and they've obviously got married, and that is why Daniel's not free this month to record. He, well, as I just said,
being a married man.
Yeah, he is now a married man. Yeah, they're now Anya Coyle.
Ladies, back off.
Yeah, Anya Coyle is now Anya Patton.
Yeah,
Good.
Anya Coyle no longer exists. She's reached the next evolution.
But no, it was a lovely ceremony. Myself and Aidan O'Connor with Chelsea Lagan went along. There was Luke and Meg there as well. It was a very nice kind of, like, it was my first friend's wedding, you know, it's like I went to a wedding earlier this month for my stepmother's brother, so step uncle, and that was very nice. But this was like, I've known Dan for, well, going on now 6 to 7 years, and when I first started talking to Dan, he and Anya had only been dating for about 2 to 3 months. And now here they are getting married. And, I got to meet some of his friends who've also been in Fractured Timeline, and also some of their other projects and stuff that I've just seen in his life. It was nice seeing that basically everyone from Dan's life came together to celebrate that day and celebrate their marriage. And it was just really nice. And you got to watch it from Zoom as well.
I watched it over a Zoom call at midnight.
Well, yeah. We should clarify that obviously you're talking from New Zealand time.
Yeah, the thrills of being in New Zealand. It's currently, what time is it? It's 9:43 a.m. on Sunday the 24th.
Oh, fair. And it's 10:43 at night for me on the 23rd. So there you go. Hooray. And then, yeah, but it was about 1 p.m. the nice ceremony. We got yourself, Dom, and James on a Zoom call. You all dressed up very nicely for the occasion.
Yeah, as long as we didn't stand up.
Yeah, and then it was just very nice. Then we went off and had a nice ceremony. The reception was nice. Just good few drinks, nice meal, catching up with everyone, etc. Very nice. And then today, something that you've seen actually, Eamon, but there's been a lot of flash flooding in Derry at the moment.
I haven't seen that, no.
Oh, no. And basically, from the middle of this afternoon onwards, it's been raining. And Anya sent us a video, which was them on the road. And it happened to be on the corner of the road of the inn that me and Aidan were staying at. The roads have completely flooded and water's just draining through the roads. And I'm just like, okay, we literally got out there the last seconds. Aidan, because Aidan has to get a bus down to Cork, which is in Southern Ireland, and then I obviously got the plane over. It was nice. I hadn't flown in 10 years. It's quite nice.
How'd you find it?
I felt like a kid again when we were flying, because I remember when I was going with family and everything. I'd always want to sit by the window. I loved seeing how fast we flew up into the air, but with that security of knowing that there's no danger there either. You know what I mean? Like sort of looking out, and I showed you that video I got on my phone where because it was a domestic flight, a very small plane, very light. We had gone from the ground to cloud level within 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's insane. I love flying.
Not that I'd know how to do the whole mechanical element. But and then
if you give me a plane, I'm not going to be able to fly it. But I like being in the plane.
Yeah, and then in England, we've been having that massive heat wave. So when I left, the heat wave's still ongoing. when I landed in Ireland, it was just cold and raining, and I was actually so happy. It was so happy to it all.
There's two extremes at the moment. There's either flash flooding or a heat wave.
Yeah, and I've come back here, and it's still really hot, but apparently it's a lot colder, and I'm still bloody sweating. I like genuinely in over in Ireland. I've just been feeling nice and cool. We've had the windows open, but it's just been nice, cool air coming in. Nothing awful. And now I'm here, and I'm just like bloody overheating again. It's not fun at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what did you think of the ceremony? Obviously you were going off of.
I liked it. I thought both of them looked really amazing. Anya's dress was incredible. She looked very pretty. Dan, obviously very nervous, but
yeah,
I mean, fucking course he would be.
I like all the screenshots you got from the Zoom call where you just.
I like.
He looked really confused when the camera got turned to me. He was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, I got quite a few screenshots of Aiden whenever Aiden would accidentally turn the Zoom call back to just a shot of his face, and for like a couple seconds we were watching Aiden watching the wedding, and it was like, cool. This is what we came for. It's like we were getting our own little private reaction video to Dad and Anya's wedding.
Yeah, the problem is though, is that reaction videos, they typically show the thing they're reacting to as well.
Yeah, no,
I should have joined the Zoom call and just filmed Aiden whilst he's filming the wedding. That would be great.
The film Chelsea.
Oh, Chelsea just couldn't
slow descent of Chelsea.
Well, that's the thing, because Chelsea was there at the very beginning. Chelsea just happened to get the wrong bus one day, and got on the bus and just chatted with Dan because they recognised each other through friends of friends. And Dan just spoke to her and just said, "I don't know, what should I do? I really like this girl. Should I ask her out?" And Chelsea just went, "Go for it." You know, at the end of the day, like, you'll never know if you'll regret not trying. And you know, you might feel bad if you're rejected, but you know that you tried, and he did, and that was Anya.
Oh,
and like Chelsea's just like sat there going, "I did this. I'm responsible."
This is all me.
Yeah. So as a result, she was crying.
Oh, you know, you guys turned the camera around at the end, and you were all. You looked all warm and fuzzy and really happy, and Aiden was smiling, and then just in the corner there was just Chelsea just bawling.
Yeah, I had a couple of like little tears, but like she'd already handed out all the tissues to us in preempting that.
You weren't allowed to cry.
I was given one set of tissues, as was Aiden, and then Chelsea went through the rest. It's literally what happened. Yeah, and. It was lovely though. It was lovely. Now we've got a lot to talk about because it's not just Dark Universe as well. About. The next thing on our list is the whole split with DW2012.
Yeah, that went down on a weekend. I didn't have Wi-Fi. Thanks for all. Yeah,
you missed all of that. But
I was sitting in a cafe on a Zoom call, using up all the free Wi-Fi from. We have a place over here called the Warehouse. And it's basically just like a big department store. I was using up all their free Wi-Fi and a cafe off the side of it, trying to figure out what the hell was going on.
What did you see? Did you see like the Instagram stories and we're just like, what?
I think I got there and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna sit down, maybe watch a show and stuff. And then everyone was like, oh my god, everyth's going down. Yeah. Everything's been split, and I'm like,
yeah. So I'll try and keep this because for those who are more in tune with the content I'm making, obviously aside from audio dramas, I occasionally make short films, but like the podcast, I also make a monthly series, which is a monthly vlog. It might not always be the best stuff, but I have talked about this in the monthly vlog, and I'll try and keep what I'm about to say about things as close to that as possible to try and keep it all streamlined. Essentially, there were a ton of issues in the behind the scenes regarding creative differences. Luke has this very set continuity with DW 2012, and when he gave me Torch of Rebirth to make, he said that he trusted me with the continuity. I still kept him in the loop. For example, Volume 1 of Rebirth was actually based on a series of TikToks that I'd seen, where this woman was describing this kind of story that had, like, kind of an urban myth story that had happened, and I thought that'd be really good to adapt. So I sent them over to Luke, to no response. So I just went ahead and started to make it, because Luke hadn't said anything about him wanting to be involved in the process. We made Volume 1. The trailers went out, and Luke said he wanted to be more involved. Now, he wasn't quite happy about not being involved, but there just seems to be a lot. There seems to be, I mean, Eamon, you know quite a bit about what's going on behind the scenes as well.
Yeah.
But there seems to be a lot of cases where there was miscommunication, but when you go back to the messages, nothing was said about the specific thing. And as a result, you don't know if the miscommunication was more an implied wording than anything else, because you can see wordings that could be having a double meaning, and it's like, we can't have conversations here where you say, yes, that's fine, but is there a catch? We don't know. Like, and you don't want to be too interrogatory either. So either way, I sent over the scripts for what we were doing for what would be the second volume of Rebirth.
He got 2 of those, didn't he?
He got your one and Aiden's one, and we then had a little read through of bits and pieces, because we were talking about how much swearing there is in the actual Torchwood series. Yeah. And in that, we found out there was only about 4 swear words per episode in episode 1 at least, or series 1 at least. Yeah. And then series 2 went down to 2 per episode, etc., etc. And then we looked to Torchwood Rebirth Volume 2, and they per episode were averaging 30 to 50. And then I was just like,
I think mine had 54.
Yeah, and Aiden's had about 30-ish. And then there was one that Aiden had written for Devlin, Volume 1, that has 70 in it. And that's where it just starts to get a bit excessive. But the problem is Devlin's.
And so we went and we cut them all down. And
but the problem is that we'd already sent them over to Luke.
Yeah.
And
there was one I think we hadn't sent over to Luke, wasn't there? There was
no, it was the one that James had written. That
it was the one James was writing.
He hadn't quite finished it yet, but because yours and Aiden's were basically in first draft form, I sent them to him to try and keep it in communication. And then then Luke turned around and cancelled Rebirth. And he didn't, and I thought it was down to the swearing, to which I said, look, we've actually, ironically, and it was like this thing, there's a particular thing about Luke that he's really incredible at doing, which is poor timing. Like, the moment we found the swearing issue was about a night or 2 before the message came through, where we were then changing it. And I thought, well, once we get these edited, I'll resend them to Luke and go, we've done this, we've done that. Luke just cancelled it outright and said, oh, no, it's not fitting the vision. Let's just keep it to 1. I want to do something new. And it was like, Torchwood Rebirth was received so well by people. And it was easily one of the more successful ones we've done. And I really tried to sort of, in a way, plead with him and say, look, just try and think about, like, people are enjoying this. Do you really want to shut this down? And something he did that bothered me was he told me that the people who'd made it before didn't matter. And that included James, where James, who had originally run Rebirth before it transferred over to me, he was a producer and he plays Captain Fraser Ward. And I was saying, but no, so many people have worked on this, it's been worked on for so long. And Luke just said, no, this is all mine, nothing to do with anybody else's. And at the time...
And for about 3 weeks before Luke cancelled it, I thought James and I had gone a bit
mad.
On mad and planned like so many upcoming volumes on it. I won't say the exact number because that's excessive. But James and I went out and planned like volumes and volumes worth of this and an overarching story and all of this that I think both James and I were really excited to start doing, and then just cancelled it.
It was the disregard for it and the fact that nobody was being heard out. That I mean, the amount of, well, I'm not going to get into it because it's very trivial and there's no proof out there for it. It's just hearsay. You'd heard drama and rumors about Luke anyway, like we all had. It was just that, and the main one was just a disregard for people. So at that point, James had a massive, what you might call a family shift or a family emergency at the exact same time that he was very distracted by. And I was just hearing him be very upset about what was happening with his family, whilst I was simultaneously having Luke message me saying that he didn't matter. And that's when I decided to leave.
Yeah.
It was not, it's been put across peaceful. I very clearly said to Luke, I choose my friends over fan films any day.
Yeah.
That sentence was not met well. But nonetheless, there's also this thing that came up on the live stream that followed, which again, that's not something I've talked about in the monthly vlog, because the monthly vlog, that segment, I've talked about this. The live stream hadn't happened yet. I will say that the amount of comments that were happening on the live stream about it, whilst I appreciate where it's coming from in people's hearts, it did get excessive. To a point where I think Series 5 was cancelled for about 3 days. Yeah,
there was a point where it was very worrying. It really much. It even looked like episode 2 wasn't even going to come out.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, is that whilst I could see people cheering at this prospect, we've got to also remember that Dom's worked on this for 5 years.
Yeah,
Dom was just kind of having a mini freak out, and this was before.
And Dom's got his own stuff going on. Yeah. If you follow Dom on Instagram at all, that's what I was going to lead into. This happened before his life-changing event happened, and it was leading up to it, certainly, but he had to deal with this, and it just wasn't fun. Obviously, episode 2 came out, and episode 2, genuinely, I did enjoy it. It's very nice. Yeah, no, I did enjoy it. I really liked it.
I said to Luke as much at the wedding reception. I said that I'd seen screenshots from the original that was shot 3 years ago on the original camera, and that I thought the costume he'd made was very nice and everything like that. And he was appreciative of the comments. But ultimately, with what was going on in the live stream, a lot of the stuff that people were talking about to Luke was all based on truth. He made that statement because I'd released the Transcending Time episode.
Overton Audios presents
Years of tyranny. The survivors living underground. We called him the Savior, but he called himself a doctor.
Hello, I'm the Doctor. I'm here to help.
The timelines are converging.
Remnants of the Time War. Trying to reach out into history.
Obviously, I'm you.
No.
You are not our Emperor! Special weapons, Dalek! Exterminate! Exterminate the false believers!
I am the Doctor.
You're not acting like it. You were willing to let the universe die today.
You don't know what I've lost.
What's happening to me?
Preem! I will not save the Daleks!
Doctor Who Transcending Time. Time of the Daleks. Coming the 8th of July 2022 at 12 p.m.
And he didn't give you a warning that he was going to make a statement.
No. To give context about the Transcending Time episode, I'd obviously made the first episode with myself and the 13th Doctor in February 2021. And then Luke messaged me and asked for one with him. And I said, oh, well, which Doctor would you like? And it's just you, or would you like Meg? And he thought it might be fun to have Meg in it. And he said he'd like the 10th Doctor, but he wanted it to be like a really gritty Dalek story with, like, they're not just in rooms going like all shouty and everything. They're actually doing things. I wanted it to be on a planet and everything like that, with people being affected. And so I wrote that. We said yes to the script in March 2021. I put a provisional date for June So I thought that's a decent 4 months considering that this isn't scheduled. Everyone else was recorded by June. And I thought, okay, we're cutting it fine. If Luke and Meg can just record, we'll get it out. So they didn't. And it was, in total, I didn't get their recordings until January 2022. And they did say on Twitter, in fact, Eamon, you asked this, because they said that you'd asked them about recordings. And they said they finished it in October, but I didn't get the recordings until January. I edited it. And then I said to Luke, it's all done. What date should it go out by? Because I was thinking February 2022, a year on from the first episode would make sense at least. That then also got pushed back and cancelled, pretty much, because he wanted Series 5 to be out. But we'd never talked about that once. I don't know why. If he'd said that from the beginning, I would have held off and made other things. He said he wanted one and it could be released simultaneously on Overton Audios and DW2012.
Yeah.
And then, basically it got shelved. And then when a week before the announcement happened is when I chose to leave. I was sat there thinking, when should I release this? Because the longer I leave it, if it gets announced, then the release of it makes things awkward.
Yeah.
So I decided to just released it by the trailer, the teaser, because Summer Visuals had made a teaser for it ages ago. And never saw it come out. And then we released the trailer. I re-recorded the voice, or my voice, saying what date it would come out by. We just threw it out in a massive release. And then Luke and Meg weren't happy, understandably, because I hadn't told them anything. I hadn't communicated with them. I was just very clear that this is the end of our association. This is how I'm saying it, because we're tied now, because you've tried to cancel Rebirth. We're now tied by this that you're actually in. Let's just release it, and we've got nothing else tying us, and we can just move forward. And they said okay, and then they never told me they were writing a statement, and we were all on Zoom at the time. And then was it me who noticed it, or was it someone else? Basically a statement got written and posted up, and it was us two, a couple of our friends like Aine and such, and then maybe some people from the Discord.
I think Spoon and
and we all just sat there.
Ultra Fix on there, and
possibly but basically
Rory and stuff like that. We're all
we basically had maybe up to 10 people on the call, just chatting, because we have there's a DW2012 Minecraft server and all this sort of stuff, and we try to be we try and get involved with the fans. And then all of a sudden I found myself for an hour trying to think and figure out what the hell had gone on, and getting spammed by messages because everyone was saying, "Oh, you've left." I'm like, hang on a minute. It was just not organized well, and there was again, the primary thing is just communication, and it
was a little bit like the Christopher Eccleston situation.
A little bit, but
the BBC just announced he was leaving without telling them, and Luke just announced you were leaving without telling you.
And I don't know, he didn't even really it took him about 2 years to recognize me as being in DW2012 anyway. Which means,
and I mean, it's not like he didn't try to kick you out multiple times.
Oh well, there is that. Okay. Next segue. The middle of May. What did we even disagree about? We disagreed about something. And then he tried to kick me out. This is essentially, basically, I can't recall specifically, but Luke wanted me out. And I just said no. And he was like, "But I've said you're out." And I'm like, "Well, I've said I'm not." I made it very clear to him that DW2012 isn't just him. It's Dom, Dan, there's Anya, there's Pete, Nathan. There's so many people in it. I care about, and I just made it clear to him that I care about them too. And I didn't leave. And Dom, who's been incredible throughout all of the arguments I've ever had with him, it's just been a great mediator for Luke, and just calmed him down nearly every time. But he's just not a stable-minded individual. He is.
No.
But then afterwards, I just decided to leave, and he begged me to stay. It was something. Well, hang on, just pick one.
I think it was the point where he realized how much he loses if you go.
Was because I said
you leave and you take Northern and you take Young, but he didn't also loses spin-offs. He loses like Crimson Hunter, he loses Mastermind,
Mm.
all of these spin-offs that expand his universe.
Well, now, sadly, if you exclude the remaster because it's not new content, it's just him. Well, no, it's not even him. That's because he's the remaster. It's just Dan and Dom. And
releasing new content.
Yeah, and obviously Dan's obviously trying to get Dimension done. I watched the first 20 minutes of it whilst I was in Ireland, actually. It was really, really nice. It's coming together nicely, but there's a lot of visual effects that you're looking at going, oh my God. My God. You're like, wow. But
it's gonna be a big one. I've seen clips of it.
And then obviously Marinus Paradox that you wrote and I directed. I've seen all the TARDIS things for now.
Oh wow.
They do something cool with it, but I'll tell you about it later. And then, but then essentially, I don't know. In terms, but I will say,
Dan's gearing up for a finale as well.
Yeah, and then he's done. Exactly. He's on the
final Irish Doctor.
Yeah, then he's gone too. And it's just
very soon, it's just going to be Dom.
Yeah, and then it's just I've always seen it as you want to be open with fans. You don't want to be closed off to people. You want to be collaborative. I mean, it's the fact as well. I mean, things are sour between me and Luke. I think that's going to stay that way. I mean, to establish the continuity of what I'm making now, nothing has changed. And what I mean by that is with all the stuff that I've made in the past, with Luke as well, I've made it with Dan, everything like that, that's connected to DW2012. Nothing like it's too complicated to change now and to try and maneuver.
Yeah,
it's got to be
the
one
continuity
or the other.
of your stuff hasn't changed. The continuity of his stuff will change.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I've left, but my universe, or Overton universe, as people are calling it, I'm still like unsure about the name. Because for me, I'm calling it, to make it easy to explain, it's either DW2012 variant or divergent, where basically the history in that universe matches DW2012. The difference is when the Doctor becomes atoms and gets reconstituted as me. In Luke's version of DW2012, the Doctor doesn't get reconstituted as me or at all. He just stays atoms. A variant of DW2012 where I just continue. That's it. So in my Overton, I'm going to call it Overton universe because everyone else is. If my Cravat Doctor decided I'm going to go back to the year 2019 and go to this location, he would probably bump into Purple. Same thing with Dan. If I decided to go back, if Cravat was like in the Overton universe and saying I'm going to go back to 1995 in Donegal, he'd go meet Fiona Chase and the Irish Doctor. Like
everything
history,
that happened before Cravat, it still happens.
Yeah, it's just that from Luke's perspective, Luke has just said that there is continuity as well. He's rewriting continuity in the remasters constantly to a point where it's starting to mess with Fractured Timeline. Like he's rewriting the Dalek the Dalek attack in London. He's making it in Birmingham now, and Dan's like, "Well, hang on." Like that's literally the whole setup.
One of the big things of why he wanted to cancel Torchwood as well. That's one of the reasons he gave for Torchwood. Was because Rebirth was set from like 2014 onwards. But
it's
he
not
was
like
saying that the continuity wouldn't match anymore.
It's like not like we hadn't
considered
he felt
like matching the continuity.
Well, yes, it's not like we hadn't considered it. And overall, when I really put it down to this, and I don't want to and obviously people who may or may not be listening to this podcast, people who make fan content, I don't mean to devalue it when I say it this way. We're just making fan content. Like we do it for fun. Like, and meanwhile,
no one's getting paid to do this.
We're talking. Yeah, we're talking about someone who thinks they've got rights over an intellectual property that doesn't belong to them.
Yeah,
that was one of the biggest things.
He shut someone down once for wanting to use Omega.
That was John.
Yeah, it was John. He shut John down for trying to use Omega.
Yeah, John wanted to use Omega. He did it anyway, and Luke never looked. But John said he was going to use Omega, and Luke went, no. It's like, you don't own the character, mate. And he was saying that, you can't use this Doctor, you can't use that Doctor. But meanwhile, the actors were happy to be in it. And he said something that was very interesting recently on the live stream. Because I said on the live stream about how, yes, you can create a character like the Blonde Doctor.
Yes.
But George made that character who it is. George is the face and the personality of it. So he is just as much to I was going to say blame, but that's not really a blame game. But you know what I mean? Like he's as much responsible for the creation of that character. And if George wants to make Blonde Doctor content, then you should let him. But then Luke's argument is, yeah, but the actor doesn't do anything except read the writing off the page.
Yeah.
And that's obviously not sat well with quite a few people that we know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I am going to point out quickly that when's this podcast coming out?
This podcast is coming out on the 4th of August.
Okay. A very high chance we would have announced Kiwi and Blonde.
Okay, no worries. Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, so George is out there making Blonde Doctor content.
Yeah, there'll be Blonde Doctor content now. Then I'm sure that there'll be Blonde Doctor content with me at some point.
Yeah.
Like we're just
George is great. We love George, and George is always happy to come over and do stuff.
We're just going to make stuff that we want to make, and if we want to work with friends, we want to work with friends. That's it.
Yeah.
And ultimately, there was. I mean, I know I've said a lot in this, certainly in this section, about Luke in more of a negative way, but I have got along with him. Whenever I've met him in person, we've seen each other and got along. We've always, whether it be under civilities, like more, I suppose, more recently. We've always got along. We've never had an argument. It just seems to be mainly an online thing. I don't know. There just seems to be a lot of confused, crossed wires there. But ultimately, whenever we've met, we've always had a nice time. Like, I met them last summer. We were doing some Series 5 filming back then. Dan and Aine were there too. We went and had a nice meal. We all got along really nicely. And then I met them at the Christmas 2019 DW2012 gathering. That was the first time we met and we got along. But we've only really met each other, really, like this will be like the third time. Like yesterday was the third time we'd ever met. But yeah, like, and obviously he's appeared in the Overton Audios podcast before for the 7th anniversary of DW2012. So we have got along at some points. It just seems that they're just more recently, certainly I think certainly happened more in the last year. There's just been a lot more higher tension and butting heads with ideas, because I think we just disagree on how we run things. I will quickly point out though, I don't know, I hope they don't mind me mentioning this, but just to be clear, like obviously it's mostly you and I talking about this, and I don't want it to come across that we're just spiteful and anything like that. I'm gonna. But the more specific story I was going to lead into was the one about Rassilon Productions.
Oh yeah,
where for the Endgame saga, Doctor Who Dark Days, I'm in it, Dom's in it, Luke and Meg are in it as their characters. They've done lines for it, but then Luke tried to get it cancelled at 4 a.m. before he and Rassilon Productions were due to meet at Comic-Con.
He values fan films and what he believes to be intellectual property much more. And it's a shame, because I think Luke is a very creative person. Yeah. And I think if Luke went out and he actually spoke to the fans and he took time to kind of involve the fans and talk with them and involve other people and kind of get everyone involved, he could be really successful. But he's letting his kind of ego and ambition get in the way of everything else. Yeah.
But that's pretty much everything we've got to say on it. We said very clearly that obviously we didn't want to bring or say any of this stuff until certainly after Dan and Anya's wedding. We didn't want to make
that was their time.
Yeah, exactly. And we did have a lovely time, despite the things that we've mentioned that were going on there.
Yeah.
We had a lovely time.
We have had the all clear from them to talk about it.
Yeah.
Both of them have been quite open to just saying you can go out and talk about it now.
Yeah, that's Dan and Anya were talking about here that they've said
not
Luke and Meg. Luke and Meg have got a very different perspective on events. They think everything's my fault. Everything that I've ever done, or everything that there's anything
that you
bad.
send people after them as an attack.
Yeah. Whereas that never happens in actual fact. It's always the poor timing element. They just seem to. This is always that case of poor timing, like we said earlier, where he'll start an argument in front of 10 people without realizing that they're all watching him, and then he'll be like, "Why has Connor done this?" That happened quite a little while ago. He had a proper meltdown, didn't he? When we went insane, and literally called me Satan.
He went crazy.
He was going around
cons telling everyone that you were like, you couldn't be trusted, and you were deceiving everyone. By making fan audio dramas.
I don't try and be I don't try and be a bad person. Though. I just want to make films. I just want to make audios, and I just want to make stuff that we can all be proud of. That's all I want to do. And I can understand that. I'm not going to turn around and say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to get someone else to play the little red doctor and kick you out." That would be wrong. My feeling
that would be
yeah. And same thing with Meg.
It's just
with
past
her
this point. Little Red just doesn't. It's just not gonna.
No, whereas like if George wants to make stuff as the blonde doctor, and he's being told
George is the blonde doctor.
Yeah,
George is the blonde doctor. You can't go and recast George. George is
you can't go ahead and recast him and say he was always meant to be the master, when we know that he had plans for George to play the blonde doctor in the 60th anniversary special that Luke was planning. We know all this stuff. We know that's all a lie. But he's just
the short tales that he released,
and he's
that are quite obviously the Doctor, not the Master. But then he took them down to kind of weave this narrative that he's had a plan for George not to be the Doctor the entire time.
Yeah, none of us appreciate the gaslighting that Luke has been doing. But nonetheless, we'll leave that for part 2 because we've got the rest of the podcast to do.
Yeah,
we've been probably talking.
We are going to continue watching series 5.
Yeah, of course. Like, this thing is, I still massively support the work that has gone into making it. It's not. It's that sort of case of, I don't know if that's the saying, of support the art, not the artist. Like the amount of work that Dom has
making a fan film is hard.
Yeah, like I know that. Obviously,
I tried to do Kiwi as visual for the first season, and I just. It's been over a year since I started filming the first Kiwi Doctor story, and I still haven't finished. Yeah. So we've moved it to audio, and so it's hard work. And so I really respect all the work that's gone into it.
Like you look at Dom, you look at Ben. Yeah, Ben's working. Obviously, Meg's done work for it as well. Meg, I think, has actually gone more into acting as a result.
Meg's brilliant. Meg's a brilliant actress,
and obviously, like we said before, when Series 5 started, Luke's ability as a cinematographer and director is massively elevated. I think that's where, personally, looking at everything, that's where his heart's calling is. I don't necessarily. I think like when you look at it when he was on camera, and having to be behind camera at the same time, whereas now where you can only concentrate on that, you can see that he's really upped his skills there. But nonetheless, is that despite these differences, we've got nothing more to add. And if this podcast gets brought up in some shape or form, we've got nothing to respond with.
Wouldn't be surprised if it does.
Yeah, but like this thing, we've got nothing to respond with. This is our take on what's happened. We've moved on. This is what we think's happened. Luke, if Luke happens to listen, is absolutely free to respond to anything we've said. But we're moving on now. This is us just kind of airing everything and then closing that chapter.
He's free to raise any points he needs to.
Of course.
If we've said anything that he has an issue with,
probably quite a few things.
Yeah, but like if he has if he has anything that he's like, actually no, this is factually incorrect, and if he has proof, by all means, I'm willing to be proven wrong.
Oh yeah. Again, we're only seeing this from we're seeing this from messages that have been sent, the actual arguments I've had with him. I don't know he's a very private person. You never know what's going on in his life, but the perspective that he's given to myself and many, many others is a very, very conclusive one. So, it could be a misunderstanding. Like I said, a lot of the stuff that me and Luke have had as in terms of a friendship have been very much, sadly, based on a ton of miscommunication. So I hope it's all just another miscommunication and just a misreading of the situation. If it isn't, then it isn't. If it is, and I'm obviously willing to be proven wrong on that. And, there you go. and just be able to move forward knowing what the actual facts are. Sadly, the only facts I've got are what's actually happened from my perspective. I don't know, like, for example, whether a certain argument happened because he wasn't having a great day because of something that might have been going on horribly for him. I don't know. I can only go on the experience I've had, as can we all. But nonetheless, we're going to get on with the podcast now, because we're going to have Dan appear from a recording before he got married, about Dark Universe.
From Bachelor Dan.
Yes. So, shall we have a little listen to the trailer for Dark Universe 1?
Oh, yes. I mean, I wrote half the volume. Let's go.
Overton Audios presents.
Aha, the Famasi! It's lovely to see you again.
Greetings, Doctor. Welcome to the conglomerate negotiations.
Doctor!
That can't be.
There you are!
Hazel Anderson?
Stop messing around. Where is Miss Channing?
Miss Channing?
Constance Channing, the actress.
Constance Channing! So that's where I am.
You're going to Earth, Doctor.
Why?
That will be our new planet to sell.
Why did you hit me?
You abandoned me!
It was a mistake.
Because I'd rather be with a friend than a stranger.
Maria, that's very kind of you. No, I will not do this!
Not even for Nathan Chase.
Doctor Who Dark Universe 1. Coming the 6th of August 2022 at 12 p.m.
Hello, welcome back to the podcast, and I'm here with Daniel Patton.
Yes, here I am, live from Crete during my lovely honeymoon. And we're recording this preemptively before my wedding, so it's weird to think by the time this segment comes out, I'll be a married man.
Oh wow! Yeah, you will. It'll have been a couple of weeks as well since the wedding as well. That's another weird thing to consider, is that when this comes out, you won't have just got married. Well, you will have, but like you, as in, it would have been a few weeks.
Like, when does this podcast come out? If you can go roughly in the top of your head.
I'm actually just going to check the schedule quickly. This podcast comes out on the 4th of August.
The 4th of August. I'll be on honeymoon. Definitely, I'll be on honeymoon by then.
You'll be away, and in a way, like you said at the end of the last podcast, taking a sabbatical from everything, weren't you?
Basically, yeah. I'm not even too sure if I'll be in the September podcast at this point. It all depends on what life will be, because we're just married. We need to figure a whole pile of stuff out.
Oh yeah. Again, we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. And to be honest, I'm probably going to be recording the August podcasts quite early anyway, just so I can be on time with things for once.
I'd be curious to see who replaces me for that podcast.
I'm weighing up 2 people at the moment, and I guess I'll wait to find out myself. But nonetheless, we're here to talk about Dark Universe, which was briefly spoken about, I believe, in the December podcast, the December 2021 podcast. Remember the big lineup visual effect you did for the
yes,
podcast?
I briefly touched on it because it was we just announced it.
It wasn't even made. It wasn't even written and made yet. we did. That was quite risky for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we definitely had those scripts written at that point.
Did we? I don't know. It felt like a nervous one to announce for me, but maybe it's because it wasn't finished in any shape or form.
Yeah, it was a risky one because I think we only really just either finalized the scripts or we're still finalizing the scripts as we record that podcast.
I'm going to find out quickly. I'm going to go into my little archive and see what dates certain scripts were at least fine, like the final save on the scripts was done. I'm just generally curious because I know that Dark Universe is something that you've not really, in terms of production, had too much say in, have you?
That was like a voluntary thing because I think it was we just finished Uncharted Past Volume 4, which was the final one. And you were saying we could potentially do a 5th volume, and I was saying I was basically adamant that the Uncharted past era was a Nathan Chase and the Fiona Chase. That was the family story there.
Yeah, I remember it was like an extra 5th volume, but it was like exactly what Dark Universe is aiming to be, which is just the Irish Doctor dealing with the loss of Nathan.
Yeah, I was saying that, like, if we're going to do like another Irish Doctor volume or like another set, it'd have to be something like a story that's it has to be like it has to have, like, there's always been these eras of my Doctor, like the fracture timeline is the current one, which that's sort of theme in that story will be revealed more soon. And then there's obviously the Chase family, and for Dark Universe, it was a bit. It is the grieving stage of the Irish Doctor.
Yes, because it was something where I think I'd watched, well, after having edited Uncharted Past Volume 4 ending, and then jumping and having a look at the first episode of Fractured Timeline, I felt like there's a lot of wiggle room in that to have a story about the Doctor grieving, because there's not often we get to really see that too much, is there?
No, it's I feel like I'm not sure how much has been said about Uncharted, Dark Universe.
Not a lot at all.
All right. Have you said about a companion about the series?
Well, we don't actually really have one, do we?
Yes, that's what I was trying to like see.
No. Well, the thing is, by this point, by the way, the trailer would have come out.
Okay, but basically the gist is it's a companionless sets of adventures with the Irish Doctor. He does meet people within the adventures with like their one-offs, but it's a chance to really look at the Irish Doctor, Irish Doctor's character a little bit more of a first person POV of himself.
Well, yeah, and I think it was also, sorry to interrupt, but I just remembered we did do a kind of mini pilot for this already.
We did with Federation War.
Yeah, the Federation War, episode 2 of volume 1, where it's because it's to deal with your Doctor at that point was actually still dealing with what had happened, and that's where I think the genesis of the idea had come from, which was, imagine a volume of that.
Your friend.
Not now.
Yes, now, again, we could die at any moment.
He wasn't a friend. He was my son.
I'm so sorry.
He chose to leave me, and then he died. In the worst possible way.
In war?
No, of course not. He died in a fire. All those things we've seen, all those wonderful, amazing things. Then to end his life not with his family, but at the hands of fate. In the end, he was too much like me.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, basically just that between period from Uncharted Past and Fractured Timeline.
Yeah, you'd edited a photo of yourself from like wearing half and half of the Uncharted Past costume and the Fractured Timeline costume, hadn't you?
Yeah, I like to think like that story. I'm not sure if we ever said where that story takes place in terms of like.
No, I mean, you have done some revisions to the costume as we've seen from the cover art, but there was something I wanted to quickly actually mention, because people probably would have noticed it in the cover art, let alone in the trailer. But you meet a young Doctor companion.
I do. Hazel Anderson, played by the remarkable Joanna Baker, and that was a good story. I really like that story. I like Groundhog Day type of stories, like time loops type of stories. So that was a lot of fun.
It was also one of Eamon's first ever scripts he wrote.
It was one of his first ever scripts.
He wrote it back in 2020, and then we are going, we will use this for Dark Universe, and here we finally are.
Here we are, yeah. And I remember like you were saying like where we want to do like a story where you meet like a young Doctor companion. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. I always love stories where companions are paired up with future Doctors.
Sort of like Sarah Jane. Despite the fact that obviously you and her never actually, you've probably spoken before, but you didn't speak for this. You both real performances play off one another so well.
Yeah, I never spoke to Joe. I never ever like when I never contacted her, but it was from listening to the audio, it seemed very natural. I think that's down to how Eamon wrote it.
Yeah, and as well as that, I think there is an essence of Joe just played Hazel as Hazel would say it, but there is something inherently like that sticks with everyone's version of the Doctor that stays the same a little bit, and that's why it works so well as well. But also because the young Doctor was so much more well spoken and upper class kind of Doctor, and he was always like, "Oh goodness, Hazel," and then Hazel would actually contrast the young Doctor so much more for that. Whereas with the Irish Doctor, he's not posh at all. He just gets on with it. He says it how it is, and he doesn't hold back. And Hazel doesn't like that, and they actually both spar at one another quite a lot for it, which is not something that they do. But as a result, they talk like old friends, which is great.
Yeah, I did look at when I was before recording. I did look at some of the old young Doctor stuff. I looked at I did listen to them when they were first broadcast. I re-listened to the latter half of Volume 3 because I feel like when especially I think you could say with David Tennant, whenever he meets Sarah Jane, whenever the 10th Doctor meets Sarah Jane, it brings out a bit of Tom Baker in him, the Fourth Doctor.
Yeah, I saw a comment about that. Someone said that when the 10th Doctor saw Sarah, it was the Fourth Doctor smiling.
Yeah, and I always liked that sort of philosophy of it, so I wanted to sort of channel a bit of young Doctor and the Irish Doctor for a few moments.
Well, it's like we've talked about this. Like we've talked about a hypothetical story randomly, and I'm saying this very clearly for anyone who's listening in case they think I'm being serious. But we have talked about what if, for example, Maggie met Cravat before, and we've talked about that. And I'm saying it again hypothetically, but I'm just saying that we always said that there'd be something there where when Cravat would smile, it would be Irish Doctor's eyes smiling.
Yeah,
it's like that with people. When you know people, you kind of fall back into that. Like I'm sure the way that you smile at Anya is very different to the way you smile at me. But if you hadn't seen Anya for a while, and it was like an era of your life that ended up going away, the moment you smile at her again, it would all come back.
Yeah. Oh, that love. I agree with you there, and it's sort of like, I feel like what defines a Doctor's era is the people around that Doctor, and it's always nice to when the Doctor revisits those people, it's sort of them sort of stepping back into those shoes of a predecessor.
Exactly, but it's also nice as well because obviously this is Hazel after leaving the young Doctor. This isn't like that you accidentally meet during an adventure. This isn't like an accidental multi-Doctor. It's a case of this is her after young Doctor regenerated. This is her thinking that something else happened to the Doctor, and now this will be the first time she's seen the Doctor since then, and he's now the Irish Doctor.
Yeah,
and so there's and at the same time for the Doctor, this is the first time he's seen Hazel since he was the young Doctor. So for them, it's been this almost a very same eras of their lives, much longer for the Doctor. But that's the thing; they go back to kind of how they were, and it's quite sweet.
Yeah, and what I like as well is that the way that Eamon cleverly wrote the stories, because there's always like the companion finding out who the Doctor is if they are made later incarnation, because of how the mechanics of the story work. Like you'll be explained later on. It works out. It's a very clever way of getting around that. Oh, you're the Doctor.
Yeah, exactly. It's very, 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 very clever. Very and clever indeed. But ultimately, like we say, aside from the returning companion, we also have a set of new companions who give new opportunities for the Irish Doctor. And you never know that some of those opportunities may pay off, and enemies may be made as well. You never know. You never know.
Like we have. That's been so long. Read the scripts. I know we have. I know.
So, we've got obviously. Well, I mean, everyone's going to know this. The Famasi.
A Famasi.
Yeah.
Played beautifully by James Sutton.
Oh yes. In fact, it was quite funny. We actually accidentally revealed it early in the podcast where it had everyone hosting. We just accidentally, like, James just did an impression, and I just went, "Yeah, we should cast you," and everyone just went silent. Because we'd already recorded it months prior.
Yeah, I think
I love messing with people.
It's funny that we decided to bring back the Famasi. Like we decided that before the Famasi hype really took off.
Yeah, that's what's weird, is that I'd been seeing a Doctor Who Twitter user called Dilekium. They were always posting, and I believe still are, clips of the Famasi going, "You mentioned Famasi," but the first time I was ever properly exposed to the Famasi was actually someone did an edit that the Famasi belong in a sitcom, because, and then when he said, "You mentioned Famasi," and then all the laughter track kicked in, I genuinely didn't believe that it was real. That the Famasi line, I did not believe that line was real because it was so sitcom-y, till I watched the actual episode, the actual 4-parter, and I went, "Oh my God, they actually speak like that." And I just fell in love with them. They're not inherently villainous either. They're actually just like mediators in the middle of, like, if it's like they're mediators in, like for example, with this one, with this story they're in, it's about a purchase of a planet. They're there to help mediate the purchase and make sure that like sort of like solicitors in a way, kind of thing, but in space, and they're great. I just love them.
Yeah. So, and like suddenly there's been this big, like, resurgence in their popularity. I've seen a few posts from Big Finish saying, "Should we use the Famasi more often?"
Yes.
And then I've seen, like, someone make, like, a custom 3D printed action figure.
I genuinely looked up because I was desperate. Do you remember I was desperate to try and get the Famasi in a live action Fractured Timeline episode?
Yeah.
I looked up a costume and I found it, but it was way too expensive. It was the only one left.
The screen used costume that was used.
I found, yeah, but no one's. No, I mean, I think it's quite poor that people are making fan costumes of the Famasi.
Yeah, for this they won't.
Yes, I hope so. But yeah,
basically what we're saying is, RTD, if you're watching this, bring back the Famasi, you bloody coward.
Yeah, come on, 60th. If you're bringing about Beat the Meep, you can do the Famasi. Yeah, the Famasi has helped mediating Beat the Meep.
I wonder how they would redesign the Famasi for the modern era.
Well, like, I don't think they'd do much. I think they'd do what they did to the Sea Devils. I think they'd just play it as have the face move more.
Probably, like, with animated additional features.
Yeah, and we all know that James Sutton made the Sea Devil masks for the Legend of the Sea Devils. We should get him to come back and make the Famasi masks.
James, you listening? Yes, James. We want you to play the Famasi for real.
Yes, make the masks dress up as a Famasi walk on set.
Indeed.
That was very eerie. You whispered right in my ear. Are you listening? I'm like, yep.
Yeah, it was like Dark Universe was a nice, for me, it was a nice break because it was some Irish Doctor content that I didn't really have to monitor, and it was nice for me to just be an actor in it.
And volume, and obviously it's not going to be a 4-volume thing. It's only a 2-parter volume.
No, I couldn't do 4 volumes again.
No, and in all fairness, like, we're kind of looking at the schedule of when these would come out and trying to line it up that by the time you get to the end of Fractured Timeline, all other media has stopped, and all you'll have left is your ending.
Yeah.
We don't want Dark Universe carrying on past the regeneration story.
Yeah, and that's gonna be weird. I think like when these audios are done, then the days of the Irish Doctor are truly numbered from that point onwards.
Well, I mean, I imagine, I don't know, like in terms of actual sole volumes to the Irish Doctor, there's nothing planned at all past this. No thoughts, nothing. It's just about now getting to the end of that finish line. But you never know what the future holds. But right now, at the moment, there's just, this is it.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyway, on that,
I don't want to go.
Oh no! I was about to say on that depressing note, and then you said that. Oh no! Do we have anything else to say about Dark Universe without spoiling it too much?
It's a bit hard, but what I like about Dark Universe is there is a sort of overarching villain within the first volume.
Oh yeah,
which has been nice. I've enjoyed, because like as I was saying before, I enjoy just being an actor, and I liked being able to sort of let loose with it, and just be able to say be a person that people turn to, saying like, is this something the Irish Doctor is saying? Like, yes, he would say that.
Yes, indeed.
It's been nice, because it's always been stuff that's, because everything I've done with the Irish Doctor has been stuff I planned very well in advance. So to have this sort of new sort of like middle era, this little middle part of the Irish Doctor's life that I didn't really plan for, it's been nice. It's been a nice change of pace and adds a lot more dynamics to the Irish Doctor that I didn't previously have planned.
Yes, indeed.
And it fleshes out his era very nicely.
It makes it a nice an era, a trilogy of eras, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Uncharted Past, Dark Universe, and Fractured Timeline, and it's a kind of, they all complement one another in how, I suppose, that it goes. You know, it escalates naturally. You know, Uncharted Past. You know, past that's Uncharted. So then you have a Dark Universe. You get the vibe from that, and then following that, you've got a Fractured Timeline. Like, it all kind of links together and escalates quite appropriately as well. It's not massive jumps. You know, it's not like, Doctor Who flowers and happiness and then suddenly end of the universe. You know, it seems to do a natural escalation, and it will build up, I feel. And like, we've tried to make this one be a lot more of a connection into Fractured Timeline. So therefore, this is his next stop. Fractured Timeline is the final era.
Yeah, like there's always been sort of the debate, like you could just go straight to Fractured Timeline after Uncharted Past or something. But I agree with you. You know, you're looking at hindsight. There has always been there is a bit of a gap there that you could explore, and you could flesh that out more, and therefore a sort of turning point before he gets to the Fractured Timeline.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like Dark Universe is something that you can add on to it. But ultimately, we already saw it and went, well, it does work without it. But I still see Dark Universe as something I personally, obviously, I'm going to say this, but I still think it's integral to listen to, because it's good character development for the Doctor, the Irish Doctor, namely. But also, ultimately, it's something that when you watch Fractured Timeline, hopefully, you look at it a little bit differently because of Dark Universe. You look at it and you can understand it. In the same way that when you watch Fractured Timeline episode 1, now with Uncharted Past coming out, there's so much more to it now. There's a different perspective, you know? Yeah,
I agree, yeah.
Indeed. And I think we've sold it well enough, don't you?
I believe we have, yeah. When does it come out again?
The trailer is out on the 3rd of August, then the day after this podcast, and then on the 6th, on Saturday the 6th of August, we have episode 1, and then weekly until the 27th of August. So it's a whole month, a whole August month of you,
all me,
indeed, of you, and then and at some point in the schedule will be Dark Universe 2. And as we say, then it's all just up to the final moments.
Indeed.
Well, does that feel weird for you yet?
It's steadily starting to set in now. It really is.
Yeah.
I
mean, mate, you got to think about how much this year is changing for you. Marriage, and then you're saying goodbye to this doctor you've been basically playing since 2014.
Since 2013, actually.
Oh, what was the Children Need Special 2013?
The original Eternal Darkness.
Oh, God, yeah, of course. Oh, my God. Oh, wow. Mate, you're going to make it to 10 years.
I probably might.
And people genuinely think that I'm the longest one. People keep saying that I'm going to be the longest one. I already know, spoilers for everyone listening, I know where I'm going, and it won't be at the 10-year mark.
Unfortunately, I know where this plan.
You're going to be the Tom Baker of our era.
Oh God, we'll see. There's still young Dom still has a chance.
Yeah. Is there a telephone tower you have to climb up in the finale by chance? Oh dear.
I go on a plane to Crete in July, so you do know.
yeah. We come back and in the finale. In the finale, you've randomly got a tan. Indeed. Anyway, thank you all for listening to the segment, and Daniel, thank you for being free. I know that obviously this has been recorded way in advance, and that you are now, as of when this is out, married and honeymooning.
I am, yeah.
I'm obviously going to be at the wedding, but nonetheless, I'll say here, I hope the wedding goes well and the honeymoon is lovely.
I hope so as well. As long as someone meets me at the end of the aisle, I'll be a very happy man.
Indeed. Anyway, thank you for listening, and we shall go back to me and whoever is hosting the podcast. And welcome back to the podcast. It was a very nice segment there with Dan. It was weird having him. He's a guest in this one.
It's a guest. Yeah.
It's weird because usually we would have just talked
Daniel.
for a bit. Yeah, we would have usually talked for a bit, then had the trailer and just carried on talking. But no, that was recorded before. Before he got married, obviously, because I just came back from the wedding yesterday. And now
just to point to all the listeners, I haven't even heard the trailer.
Oh, good. Well, anyway,
everyone's heard the trailer technically before I have.
Oh, but anyway,
and we ended that segment going, do you want to hear the trailer?
Yeah, but so now we're going to the comment section. You'll be reading the comments from the teaser trailer, or the teaser and the trailer for Transcending Time.
On the teaser we'll start on the teaser, obviously. Aptly titled Coming Soon to Overton Audios. CSP said, cannot wait for it to come out. Well done to Sound visuals for the titles and the rest of the team for making this. And I agree, the titles look excellent.
Yeah,
the titles look really cool. So yeah, Summer Visuals is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Louise Kane says, oh my NXT. I think that's next, maybe. Shut up. I so can't wait to hear this. I may do a reaction of it soon. I wonder if they did.
I'll find out whilst you continue to read.
Michael Cox says, double the doctors and you'll double the fun. Which is very true. We love double doctors. Mm-hmm. Dota Farbers says, now this is poggers.
What?
Dota Farbers has said, now this is poggers.
Oh, what do these words mean?
I have no idea. I think my favorite comment here, by the way, is from Ralph Cap, which says, LP reacted T-right way. She is Vinar.Uno in need of over-drama or over-considerations. She don't deserve considerations, D.LP, and then a lot of things in different languages. So I think that's a bot, but I just love that comment.
Great.
Yeah. It doesn't look like Louise ever did a reaction.
No.
Louise, if you're listening, do a reaction.
Just demand.
We love reactions. We love reactions. And now for the trailer for Time of the Daleks, the trailer. Sean Mayle says, "Oh my God, the 10th Doctor, the Little Red Doctor, Megan Williams, and the Daleks. I'm so looking forward to this." And then a big thumbs up.
That's good.
Ted H says, "Damn, the person playing the 10th Doctor did a brilliant job. Also can't wait to see Luke Newman and Megan again." Yeah, no, Elliot Crossley's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Elliot's, I think, one of the best 10th Doctor impressionists out there. As agreed by Spider Sparky, who says, "Wow, that's a really good impression of the 10th Doctor." And Michael Cox, who says, "From these clips, I can tell that Elliot Crossley's 10th Doctor is remarkable, an exceptional voice artist."
I mean,
Louise
Elliot's done an amazing job.
Elliot's incredible. Elliot's hands down, I think, one of the best 10th Doctor impressionists out there.
Yeah.
Louise has once again promised to do a reaction, which we have found out was a lie.
No, she won't just.
I'm not going to straight out here call Louise a lie. Maybe she's busy, but yeah, no, everyone gets busy.
So mean.
I'm not actually going to go and call Louise a liar. Louise might just be busy, but I would like to see a reaction. We have Jed Rhodes, who says nice.
Oh, that's good.
It is nice. And Muazo, I think it's the name, Muazo9 said, "I hope there's a little reference to the 60th in this because of the speculation of 10 also being 14 and Ncuti being the 15th.
Well, as we said earlier,
was there a reference, Connor?
Well, no, because this was written in March 2021. This is
well, there's your answer, Muazo9. And then most of the rest of the comments are just complimenting Elliot Crossley.
That's good. That's nice.
Because Elliot's brilliant. Yeah.
Cool.
That's all the comments on those.
Right, I will move on to the comments now for the main episode of Transcending Time, which was the Time of the Daleks. And we have a comment here from Michael Cox reading, "In episode 1, we had Wendy Abrahams as the 13th Doctor, and now we have Elliot Crossley as the 10th Doctor. Absolutely exceptional performances. So kudos to Overton Audios for getting these wonderful voice actors. Time of the Daleks was a great story, and it goes to show that the Daleks, not the Time Lords, are actually their own worst enemies. The whole cast are to be congratulated on bringing this to life. Alia E. Tori has already established herself with Overton Audios as someone who can really play deep emotion in a number of roles. The interactions between Ten and Little Red were very moving, as were the ones between Ten and Megan. As episodes 1 and 2 are such splendid pieces, I can't wait to see what you come up with next in the series." Another comment, and thank you very much, Michael. Michael's always amazing at writing lovely comments.
Yeah, Michael's always really great. Michael's lovely. Love Michael.
And then we have a comment here from Joey, who says, good old Joey. "Elliot Crossley makes a great 10th Doctor. I actually thought it was the actual 10th Doctor. Such a fantastic episode, and I can't wait for the next installment." Then we have a comment here from Sean Mayle saying, "That was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The 10th Doctor, the Little Red Doctor, Megan Williams, and the Daleks in the same audio was just awesome. The story and the writing was excellent, and the guy who voiced the 10th Doctor was really convincing. Luke and Meg also did a really great job, and I really enjoyed seeing them in this. I'm guessing for the 10th Doctor, this is sometime after the events of Planet of the Dead and Journey's End, with him reflecting on the people that he has lost and being told he was going to die. Keep up the good work, Connor, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes up next." I actually wrote this in light of having finished all of the Time of Victoria saga.
Oh.
So
is it somewhere in between there?
It's meant to be after it.
Oh.
At the very end of it, when the whole event's over, and he's reflecting on, because obviously you've seen all the artwork for it, it goes everywhere, he goes literally Time of Victorious on us. He reflects on that, on what he did there.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like between, because apparently what it is Time of Victorious takes place between Waters of Mars and End of Time, and that's why at the end of this episode, Megan is the one who persuades him to go to the Oudsvit.
Yeah.
He says at the end, it's time for me to face what I'm running from. And that ultimately, whilst obviously he has to forget it because timeline's out of sync, that impression of him saying, I'm going to do this is what leads him there in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little thing. And I thought, well, I kind of wanted to, what I like is writing doctors who are damaged in a way, because for a character who's meant to be so good, and to have them have an internal problem that can only be fixed by themselves and maybe by the people around them, it's a very interesting thing to look at, and I really like it.
Yeah. It's always much more fun to write a protagonist who's damaged rather than just a flawless protagonist.
100%. And then we've got Justin Campbell, who wrote, anyone else get giddy and excited when they heard Ten say, hello, I'm the Doctor? Because, man, that sent some chills up my spine. And got a comment here from Jed Rhodes saying, really good, some solid performances. The music's well used, and it's interesting to seeing the conflict between two different Doctors in this way. And then we have a comment from Louise Kane saying, wow, that was incredible. I really enjoyed it. Great work. And then lastly, James Leaper, Lone Wolf Audio Works. Fantastic production, great performances all around, and great story, great sound design, very top-notch. Thank you very much for all of the comments.
Yeah.
I always appreciate it.
A lot of people around there are asking, what's next, Connor?
What, for Transcending Time?
Yeah.
Well, we've got the next two. We've got the next two sorted.
Yeah.
We've got the next one recorded. I'm hoping to have that out in November. That would be nice. And yeah. See how that goes. If it goes well.
So.
Now, something else I'm quickly doing is part of the new segment that we tried to start doing but keep forgetting to do, which is to look at the YouTube analytics and see, aside from the more recent releases, what's an older release that seems to be doing really, really well. So I decided to look that up because I thought it's nice to reflect on what's already out right now, right? Because obviously we're talking about stuff that we're going to be coming out and be releasing, but I thought it would be nice to sort of go back and look at some of the old stuff. So currently what's doing good on the analytics at the moment is Torchwood World at War, which is good. It's nice to see that come back. That was one very nice one for me. So for everyone listening who may not have heard it, here's the trailer.
Overton Audios presents.
He's alive! Doctor, help me!
What year do you think it should be?
2025. Why? What year is it?
Lock down the base, General. We don't know what he is or what he's capable of.
You can put your guns down now, lads, yeah? Yeah, quick as you like.
War's taken a lot from us. I was on the waves with my crewmates, not in London.
You promised to send me home.
You can't, can you?
Torchwood World at War. Coming the 17th of April 2021 at 12 p.m.
And welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that trailer. Torchwood World at War was a nice one because it was World War, It was it was a really nice, interesting thing to try out. And so I'm glad that it's I'm able to talk about it again. I know I am considering doing a volume of it at some point. There was something that we were considering when we were not sure what was going to happen with Rebirth. It was considered that we'd just move to do that instead. But no, we something we didn't mention is that we do have plans to continue the Rebirth story, but just not obviously because Luke came up with the title Torchwood Rebirth. We're going to name it something else because we want to move on. And
and so those plans James and I made will end up actually happening.
Yes, exactly. Because we planned everything, and it just it's the whole reason. It's the whole reason I left in the first place.
Felt like a waste to just throw everything out.
Yeah. Again, the whole reason I left in the first place was just getting tired of getting messed around like that. So we're just going to move forward.
Yeah.
And well, thank you, Eamon, for joining me on the podcast. As a quick announcement for everyone else as well. Whilst Dan will be back next time, it will be his last ever podcast as a host.
No, Dan.
It's something that was always planned, which was we always knew when he got married that he'd likely stop.
Yeah.
Obviously,
it has nothing to do with the split.
I was about to say.
Okay.
Yeah. It's funny. I was going to say it's funny with all with the split and everything happening around now, but the split wasn't even planned either. It was very impromptu. This, however, it was always going to be something around the 30 to 35 mark, because we knew that would be around the time that Dan gets married, stuff in life starts pushing forward, Fractured Timeline kicks off again. He just won't have that time, and obviously me and him started this in the height of the first COVID lockdown in the UK. So it was always something that was going to slow down, and eventually, well, I suppose what the best thing I can say is right now regarding what will happen post that is that you'll see a lot more of Eamon.
You will. I'm here to stay. I'm stuck.
Yeah.
I wrote some scripts for Connor, and now I'm contractually obliged to show up. Connor owns me now.
Well, hang on a minute. Hang on. Whoa. But no,
I do this out of love.
No, but also you've appeared in other podcasts before.
I appeared in that chaotic one.
Yeah.
Where right afterwards you told me I actually wasn't allowed to swear in the podcast.
Well, that was a rule we'd started, but then Dan just sort of forgot it as well, and I've kind of slightly forgotten in areas as well.
Okay,
but well,
because I've already sworn in this one.
I know. I've noted. But yeah, so basically, because consider this one your audition tape, but or your pilot episode. But no, from number 31 onwards, it will be me and Eamon hosting the podcast. And Dan's not gone forever. We'll obviously got, it's only what's coming out in August is Dark Universe 1. There is more to come. There is obviously this. We've got Halloween.
At least the second one.
Yep, and then we've got Halloween specials for the Irish Doctor as well. So he'll be back in October anyway. Sherlock Holmes. Me and Dan are still.
And he'll be back on obviously when Fractured Timeline starts coming out.
Oh, exactly. There's so much there. It's just the month to month.
Not passing up the opportunity to do a Dimension of the Daleks segment.
Oh, exactly. That's the thing.
It always, and Aiden.
Yeah,
it's great.
Oh, yeah. It's just the case of a month to month commitment, organizing segments, interviewing people, etc. And I struggle as much as it is anyway. Dan's already trying to get a big old fan film series out, and trying to organize everything else. So he does cover arts for me, he does recordings for me, he does cover arts for other people, he does commissions, he also works for me. I'm his manager as well at work. You know what I mean? Like there's so much going on that he has to give up something. And sadly it's the podcast in that sense. But it's also the most logical one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He's gonna be off being a married man.
Yeah. Mr. Coyle.
Mr. Coyle. Daniel J. Coyle.
I was annoying him with that. I kept doing that when we were there. Because it was just like, no, he was like trying to do the Rory thing, going, no, that's not how it works. And then Aiden was just like, Aiden didn't follow me at all on that. He didn't go, yeah, it is. He just went, yeah, he's right, Connor. I was like, oh, great. Thanks for ruining that.
Thank you. Got teamed up on by the Irish.
Yeah. Nonetheless, again, thank you all for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Again, anything we've talked about regarding the deep stuff that's contained to this podcast, we're not going to bring it up again. We're moving forward. Everything's all good. Yeah. And
I'm assuming the next podcast is going to be much more lighthearted.
Well, yeah, when it's going to be.
Don't have to talk about.
It's going to be sad. Dan's going.
It's going to be sad. Yeah. The last Dan.
Last Dan. Well, I might be seeing him. I might be seeing him in August at some point. So I'm tempted to see if he's because we've got to do some green screen stuff, and I've got a big green screen. So he's going to be in England anyway. So it'd be nice if we could sit down and actually record it together. And actually,
finally,
we've done it like 3 times together already.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
I know that.
We did one on a construction site once.
Oh yeah.
And then there was obviously it was over at mine at the end of January anyway and stuff like that. But yeah, nonetheless, we're now just bloody rambling. So anyway, we'll say a big old farewell.
Farewell.
And I will
next time.
Indeed, yeah. So see you next month when we'll be saying our farewell to Daniel as a host.
Yeah. And hello to Daniel as a guest star.
Indeed. Well then, farewell everyone.
Bye. I don't know why I waved.